It's late evening. You weren't planning to buy anything today. Seriously, you opened your phone for something completely harmless. Maybe to check the weather. Maybe to reply to a message. Maybe just to scroll for a minute and relax. And somehow, you're now staring at a product page on Amazon. You didn't search for it on purpose. You didn't wake up this morning thinking, today is the day I finally need this. But there it is. Clean photos, 5-star reviews, that little orange badge, limited time deal. And you feel the shift. That quiet internal negotiation starts. It's only $79. I mean, I'll use it. I do work hard. Click. Done. Purchase confirmed. And if you've ever had that slightly weird moment afterward, not regret exactly, but a small, wait, why did I buy that feeling? Yeah, you're exactly who I'm talking to. My name is William, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, not just how people earn it, but why perfectly smart, rational adults keep buying things they absolutely did not plan to buy. Because here's what most people don't realize. Buying unnecessary things is rarely about the thing itself. It's about psychology, invisible nudges, emotional timing, and a handful of mental shortcuts your brain runs automatically, often without your permission. And once you start seeing what's really happening behind your purchases, you begin catching yourself mid-scroll, mid-cart, mid-justification. And honestly, that's where everything starts to change. The "it's only" trap. Let's start with the most common sentence in modern spending psychology. You've said it. We all have. It's only. It's only $12. It's only $29. It's only $79. And in the moment, that sentence feels completely reasonable, because your brain isn't evaluating the purchase in the context of your long-term wealth. It's evaluating it in the context of right now. Right now comfort, right now mood, right now convenience. A behavioral study from Duke University found that people dramatically underestimate the long-term impact of small, repeated purchases, even when they intellectually understand the math. In plain English, your brain knows better, but your habits don't care. Small numerical example. You spend $42 a week on small impulse buys. $42 times 52 weeks equals $2,184 per year. In 10 years, that's over $21,000. Quietly gone, no big splurge required. And you might be thinking, okay, but I don't impulse buy every week. Fair, but most people don't notice how often occasionally actually happens. The late-night spending effect. Now let's talk about timing, because when you buy matters almost as much as what you buy. Have you ever noticed how many unnecessary purchases happen late at night? You're tired, your willpower is lower, your brain is looking for small rewards, and suddenly that Nike hoodie or upgraded Apple AirPods Pro starts looking extremely reasonable. There's real science behind this. Research from Stanford University on decision fatigue shows that as mental energy drops, people become significantly more likely to choose immediate rewards over long-term benefits. Translation? At 10:30 p.m., your brain is not the same financial decision maker it was at 10:30 a.m. Most unnecessary purchases aren't planned. They happen when you're mentally depleted, scrolling, relaxing, half paying attention. And this is exactly when companies want you most. You might even be saying right now, okay, but I'm just relaxing. I'm not being manipulated. Yeah, that's what makes it work. The upgrade illusion. This one is sneaky because it feels logical. You're not buying junk, you're upgrading. Better headphones, better phone, better kitchen gadget, better office chair. You already have a perfectly functional smartphone, but then the new iPhone comes out. Better camera, slightly faster, smoother screen, and suddenly the old phone feels outdated, even though nothing is actually wrong with it. A consumer behavior report from Harvard Business School found that perceived product improvements, even small ones, significantly increase purchase likelihood, even when the functional difference is minimal for the average user. Your brain hears improved and quietly translates it to necessary. But most upgrades are comfort upgrades, not life upgrades. Big difference. The future you justification. This one is dangerous because it sounds responsible. You tell yourself, this will make my life easier. This will save me time. This will help me be more productive. And sometimes that's true. But often, it's optimistic storytelling. Maybe you downloaded a premium productivity app. Maybe you bought a new planner. Maybe you subscribed to something on Notion or another tool thinking, okay, this is the system that will finally fix everything. And for about 2 weeks, you really believed it. A well-known behavioral insight from the University of Chicago Booth School of Business found that people consistently overestimate their future discipline when making present-day purchases. In other words, future you is extremely ambitious. Present you is human. Small numerical example. You buy a $15 a month app you barely use. $15 times 12 equals $180 a year. Over 5 years, $900 for good intentions. Not reckless, just human.
The friction removal machine. Why apps make it worse. Let's talk about the environment you're shopping in, because modern shopping is engineered to be dangerously smooth. Think about this. Amazon has one-click ordering. Apple Pay removes card entry. Shopify stores your info. Subscriptions auto-renew silently. Every bit of friction that once made you pause is gone. And this matters more than people think. E-commerce research consistently shows that even tiny increases in checkout friction significantly reduce impulse purchases, which means the reverse is also true. Less friction equals more spending. If buying something takes 5 seconds, your brain barely has time to question it. You might be thinking, so what? Should I never buy anything? No, that's not the goal. The goal is awareness, because once you see the pattern, you start catching the moment before the click. What actually changes the pattern? Here's the hopeful part. People who successfully reduce unnecessary spending usually don't rely on willpower alone. They change the system around them. Here are 3 quiet adjustments that work surprisingly well. First, add a 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases. Second, remove saved payment methods from a few shopping apps. Third, automatically move money into long-term investments like the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF or a broad fund tracking the S&P 500. None of these are dramatic, but together they create friction in the right places and momentum where it matters. And something interesting happens. The urge to buy doesn't disappear, but the follow-through drops sharply. That's the real game, not eliminating desire, just interrupting the automatic purchase loop. The emotional truth most people miss. At the deepest level, unnecessary purchases are rarely about the object. They're about relief, a small mood lift, a tiny hit of novelty, a brief sense of progress. And look, your brain isn't broken for wanting that. It's human. The problem only shows up when the pattern runs on autopilot for years. Because then, one day you look at your net worth and wonder why it hasn't moved as much as your income did. But the moment you start noticing the "it's only" voice in real time, you've already shifted something important. The quiet awareness that saves thousands. If there's one thing I hope sticks with you, it's this. You're not bad with money, you're not weak, and you're definitely not alone. Modern spending is engineered to feel harmless in the moment and expensive in hindsight. The goal isn't to never enjoy your money. It's to stop the unconscious drift, to notice the late-night scroll, to question the automatic upgrade, to pause before the frictionless click. Because once you interrupt the pattern, even occasionally, something powerful starts happening.
Your money begins staying where you actually want it. Your investments start growing quietly in the background. And those small, forgettable purchases, they stop quietly competing with your future. So next time you're scrolling, cart open, and that little voice says, "It's only," just pause for 2 seconds. That tiny pause might be worth thousands more than it feels in the moment.